As Angel fans, we are used to bad losses. We are familiar with frustrating performances, especially in 2024. But my goodness, this might be the worst loss of the year. We'll talk about the Angels getting embarrassed and shut out by the Oakland A's on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live after every single Angel game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. I am Gavin Carlson. I spent 4 years as a credentialed journalist. I've been in press boxes. I've interviewed your favorite players, especially in UCLA sports. And I, of course, am a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And of course, I am the postcast host for the Angels. And my word, was this an embarrassing, infuriating, disgraceful performance tonight by the Angels, getting shut out by the A's. 5-0, getting shut out by a rookie in Estes who's not even good, getting defeated by the A's for a second straight night. We're on the verge of getting swept by the A's right when this team, this Angel team, makes you think there's something brewing. You win 6 in a row. You have a great end of June. But now you've lost 3 in a row, including back-to-back to the Oakland, Las Vegas, Sacramento, barely even a baseball team A's. And not only were you shut out, but you didn't do anything right in any phase of the game. Outplayed in every single phase of the baseball game tonight. It doesn't get more frustrating than that. Shout out to everybody in here. We really are growing a loyal fan base on the postcast. We know Angel fans are loyal, maybe too loyal sometimes for how bad this team is. But I'm starting to feel some of the loyalty within this postcast community. So shout out to some of the regulars, Jeff, Anaheim Angel, Futt, Alex, Daniel Barry, all in here tonight, and a few others. Shout out to all of you. Thanks so much. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know the question of the day. Is this the worst loss of the season? We'll talk about why I think so throughout this postcast. But once again, shout out to everybody in here. And of course, shout out to the sponsor of today's postcast, the great people, my favorite people, especially right now, because it's not the Angels, my favorite people at Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And with all that being said, on tonight's show, because I didn't even get to it, there might not be a plan tonight. There might not be an agenda. There might just be 30 straight minutes with, of course, a few ad reads in between. There might just be 30 straight minutes of me ripping into every aspect of this team, every aspect of this game, because wow, the Angels did nothing right. Wow. And it started right away. I'm not even going to get chronological. I'm not even going to tell you every play-by-play thing. When it comes to the Angels offensively, I don't need to tell you anything because nothing happened. Nothing happened tonight offensively against a guy in Joey Estes. If you don't know who this guy is, I don't blame you. He went 0-1 in 2 games last year with a 7.2 ERA. So he's really a rookie this year. Coming into today, 2-3 with a 5.13 ERA. And if you want to look at the advanced stats, not great on Baseball Savant. 30th percentile. So that means the bottom third in the league in pitching run value. 6th percentile in off-speed run value. Not tonight. That off-speed pitch was cooking. Expected ERA, expecting batted average, fastball velocity, exit velo, whiff percentage, barrel percentage, hard hit, anything if you want to get advanced, this guy's not good. If you want to look at the basic numbers, the 5+ ERA, the 2-3 record, he's not good. This guy is not good. But boy, the Angels made him look like Nolan Ryan tonight. They didn't even put up a fight. And how many times have I told you? How many times have I told you 2 things? 1, this is a momentum-based team, right? I say it every night. But 2, specifically hitting-wise, when the Angels get blanked in the first couple innings against the starter, they roll over. They fall asleep. If they do nothing in the first 3 innings, you can almost guarantee they're going to do nothing in innings 4, 5, and 6. We know that when they're behind 8 runs, they love to score 4 or 5 in the 9th. We know that. But for me, it's not only do they wait for the relievers to actually do something, but they don't even put up a fight. They don't even put the other team in difficult positions. The A's out-angeled the Angels tonight in terms of just doing the little things offensively, the things we have been promised. It's so ironic. I'm at home here in the Bay Area. I'm watching the A's local broadcast. And they're talking about, oh, Ron Washington, we're so familiar with him. We know the brand of baseball he likes to play. It's kind of similar to what the Angels or what the A's are trying to do with their terrible roster this year. Small ball, bunts, ground balls, guys stealing, double steals, just making contact and forcing the other team to maybe make some mistakes. And then when you're pitching, throw strikes and force the other team to do something. And tonight, one team did that, and the other, surprise, our Angels, did absolutely nothing right. Nothing. 5 hits. 5 hits against one guy in Estes in 9 innings. This guy was about to get through the complete game in like under 90 pitches. He finishes, let me find it. I'm looking for the amount of pitches that this guy threw. I can't even find it. He threw 92 pitches. It's 2024. You never see complete games. Want to know how rare this was? The first complete game, I don't know if it was shutout, but definitely the first complete game, shutout, ironically, there you go, for the A's since 2021. The 3rd longest streak in Major League Baseball history. It's been 3+ years since at least the last complete game. The last time a rookie did this for the A's was 2015. It's almost a decade since the A's pitcher did what this Estes guy, who's no good, did tonight. And there was no fight. There was no fight. It's the best things I saw from the Angels offense tonight was seeing guys get frustrated when they got out. Because at least it reminded me and gave me a little bit of evidence that maybe this team even remotely cares. Maybe at the very least, these guys who get played to play baseball, maybe they at least care. At least Schanuel pops out and he looks frustrated. At least Drury gets out and he looks frustrated. At least Zach Neto grounds into a double play that gets, called the double play after the challenge and he looks frustrated. But I will tell you throughout this show that about the reasons that I am so frustrated. Errors, misplayed balls, pop flies in foul territory where Matt Thaiss doesn't even get out of the squat and just watches Nolan Schanuel miss it. Balls going under Neto's glove. The only time you get a runner on, there's always a double play. Joe Adell, he stinks. Mickey Moniak, he stinks. The lineup, I'm tired of seeing both of them in it. And I'm not going to I'm not going to let anyone act like this was, oh, the A's just played a great game. Oh, the A's just played above expectation. No. The Angels did not put up a fight. They did not make the A's win this game. They did not force the A's to earn this win. They did nothing. Tell me something spectacular Estes was doing. He was just throwing strikes. And it's ironic coming into this game, Davis Daniel against Estes, 2 young guys, very little experience. One thing they both do, they just throw strikes. And early on, both pitchers were just throwing strikes and seeing what was happening. And obviously it did not work out as well for Davis Daniel. Did not have the super start that he had in his debut, in his last start. But we had 2 pitchers blindly throwing strikes, making a bad lineup see what they could do. And it's sure, the A's hit 2 home runs, of course. Give them credit for that. They hit 2 home runs. But they also hit a lot of ground balls that the Angels misplayed. They also scored because of an error. They also scored because of a double steal where Zach Neto doesn't even look like he knows there's a guy on third base. Just so many things. And I know we're already 9 minutes in, and I know I haven't even really told you a specific play to that level, that degree. But come on, let's be honest. When you watch that game, I assume the people in here watched at least most of that game. Is there one play that sticks out? Is there one key moment? Is there one takeaway? Oh, if they did this thing in the 7th inning, maybe it would have been a different story. No, this is not one of those games. You know that in certain postcasts, I like to give you key specific details. Just look at the postcast yesterday in what was a pretty bad loss where the Angels did basically nothing until the last couple of innings. I still told you about those specific moments. The 5th inning, the 7th inning, the 9th inning, where the Angels scored 1 or 2 runs in those innings, but it could have been 3 or 4 if Moniak and Adell could hit. It could have been 3 or 4 if small ball was actually done correctly and it was sac flies instead of unproductive outs. I told you how the A's biggest run yesterday, or inning, they scored, I think, 4 runs. It could have been 1 or 2 if certain things went a different way. You know that I like to get specific. You know that I like to tell you about baseball savant stats and all this stuff. But come on. Tonight, we're not doing that. Tonight, we're not doing that. Tonight, it's about the character of this team and a complete lack of attention to detail, a complete lack of resilience. Okay, you fell behind 2-0 to a really bad team. It happens. It happens. But they rolled over, and you can't tell me otherwise. And that's one of the main reasons I think this is the worst loss of the season. When I get back from my first break, I'll tell you the contenders for worst loss of the season. This is the 4th time the Angels have been shut out. They lost a game 9-0 earlier last month. And yet I still think this loss is worse. I'll tell you why. I'll get into some specifics. I'll also reply to some of the comments. After the first break here, I had to blow a fuse, okay? Because there's losses that make you frustrated. There's losses that make you annoyed. But this loss, man, and especially given all the context, you already lost the game to the A's yesterday. Maybe that was your wake-up call game. You've already lost 2 in a row. You're coming off a streak where it was 6 games in a row, enough to have some fans suddenly talking about the wild card race again, suddenly looking at the AL West standings again, suddenly thinking maybe we don't trade everybody. They fooled you. They fooled me to some degree. And now they are reminding everybody, they being the Angels, how bad this team is and how messed up the culture of this team is. Because this is not a game, this is not an opponent where you can say, oh, the Angels played the Yankees, they played the Dodgers, they just played a better team with the better payroll, with the better... No. The A's are one of the worst teams in sports. There was like 5,000 fans there yesterday. There was more today because there's fireworks coming up tonight for them. Because 4th of July is tomorrow. Like this is all about character. You got to look at Ron Washington. You got to look at the players. You got to look at everybody. When you lose this badly to a team this bad, because you are just a complete mess as a franchise and as a team. So that was my rant, okay? I opened it with the rant today because there can't be any other conclusion other than saying this is disgraceful. This is not good enough. So with all that being said, I'm going to take my first break here. Shout out to everybody in here. When I come back, I'll tell you the specific things that really annoyed me. We'll also look at some of the other contenders for worst loss of the year and why I think this is number 1. We'll talk about all that after our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival's city. I already said it a couple postcasts ago. I think I said it yesterday. I'm going to New York in 2 weeks. And the plan is to at least go... I want to go to Citi Field. I've been to Yankee Stadium before. I've never gone to a Mets game, though. So I think that's my goal. I'm certainly going to use Booking.com to help me with my stay. We're going to get into later sponsors that are going to help me with getting a ticket and making the experience more fun. But yes, Booking.com, the place to go. And boy, especially right now, the last thing that we want to do, at least me personally, is support Artie Moreno and go to an Angels home game. So instead, let's go to an away game. Let's watch another team that maybe actually tries against starting pitchers. Or maybe you go to an Angels game, but when they're on the road. All right, maybe that's the plan. So from hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. So book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. And today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. And this is what I was talking about the right company to get you to the ballpark, right? Booking.com, they'll get you to the city. Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier because, here's the key, folks, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. So if you're bored, if you're sitting there in the summer on a nice day, and you're thinking, what can I do to spice up my day? Wait, the Angels play in 3 hours. Don't panic. You got time, and you might even want to wait because the price will go down. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more with Game Time. There's so many other key features. I like the all-in pricing. That's one of my number one because it shows you the entire total upfront. There's no surprise fees at checkouts. You know when you like order Postmates or DoorDash and it's already up, they already upped the price, but it says it's going to be $8. And then you go to checkout and suddenly it says it's $19 because there's a delivery fee and other fees and tax. It's annoying, right? So with Game Time, they tell you the price right there. They also give you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. There's so many great things with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We are back here live on an energetic, frustrated, fuming edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. 5-0 the final. Okay, the Angels have lost games by 5 runs before. Okay, they've been shut out a few times. But 5-0 to the A's after you already lost to the A's yesterday? A few days after you went on a 6-game winning streak and had fans pumped up thinking maybe this Angel team can make a playoff run? Boy, that's one of the reasons why I think this is the worst loss of the season. But I already in my rant talked about the things that broadly annoyed me, but I'll get to the specifics. If you don't know, Davis Daniel, the starter for the Angels tonight, had a dreamlike, amazing start in his debut as an MLB starter in his last start. But today, he wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. And he got absolutely zero help from his fielders. Obviously, zero help from the offense with no runs. But it all started in the second inning. After a okay bottom of the first, you give up one double. The bottom of the second is when things just fall apart. You get a leadoff ground out, but then back-to-back singles. Jaloff, or whatever you say his name. I don't know how you say his name. All I do know is if you see him take his hat off, he has one of the worst haircuts I've ever seen. About bald on the sides and then a mullet mohawk thing. It's awful. Awful like the Angels and A's. But first and third with one out. Double play opportunity. Davis Daniel, good at locating when you need him to. He throws a good pitch with runners on the corners. Gets a slider outside, weak ground ball from Brett Harris. Davis Daniel fields it. Perfect. He throws it to second. We're thinking double play, right? A competent team. This is a double play. You get out of the inning and you go to the third. But not the Angels. Not tonight. Daniel throws the ball at Drury's shins. Awful throw. And Drury doesn't even really get a glove on it. Awful job by him, too. On the Angels radio broadcast, they were saying that's on Drury. Should have been an error on Drury, not on Davis Daniel. I don't know about that. We know how plays are ruled in the MLB. Should Drury at least get a glove on it, maybe prevent it from rolling into the outfield? Yes. But whose fault is it on that play? I still think it's Davis Daniel more than Brandon Drury. The throw was below his knees, and it's not a long distance. Drury doesn't have time to react. So I think the error being on Davis Daniel is probably the right ruling. But they both are in the wrong. It's an awful throw, an awful field, and what should be a double play, or at the very least, you get the lead runner on second, and Jaloff, whatever his name is, scores from third. At the very least, it's 1-0, 2 outs, and you have a chance to get out of the inning. You're down 1-0 to the A's. Who cares? You can certainly come back and win the game. But no, obviously it's a throwing error. Jaloff scores. Lawrence Butler gets to third. Harris is on first. So now it's first and third again with still 1 out, and it's 1-0 A's. And I'm furious, and I have a bad feeling about things when in the second inning you're already throwing the ball away. But okay, it's fine. We're just getting started. Davis Daniel responds with a great strikeout against Schumann, who ends up having a great game. But he gets a strikeout on Schumann. There's 2 outs. There's still runners on first and third. 1 more out, and once again, it's still 1-0. It's okay. We've seen this team have comebacks. But no, what we get here is a double steal attempt by the A's. Butler goes to steal second. Matt Thaiss pops up, throws it to second. They've clearly got him in a pickle. Neto's got the ball. But of course, the point of this play is, or excuse me, I guess, I don't know who was going to second now. Lawrence Butler was at third, excuse me. Brett Harris was trying to steal second. They throw it. They clearly got Harris at second. Butler's going home, though. Neto fields the ball. He knows he's got Harris in a pickle. But he barely even, I don't even know if he looked at home, to be honest. Maybe I need to watch the replay again. I'll probably do it after this podcast ends. But he either barely glanced home, maybe he thought he didn't have a play. I don't know. But he doesn't even really make a consideration to throw the lead runner out at home. Instead, he worries about getting the guy between first and second in the rundown. Of course, they get him, but by then the run has already scored. And what really confuses me is when they get the out, Neto just beelines to the dugout. Either because he knows he messed up and he's embarrassed, or because he doesn't even know that the guy's just scored and that the run counts, and he thinks he did something right. I don't know. It's either one or the other, but either way, it's a bad play by Neto, who had a really bad game in the field, especially. A really bad game. This one is, I think it's a misplay. It's a weird one, but got to be better. But it was just getting started for Zach Neto. 2 ground balls get under his glove, including a key one in the 6th that allowed a run to score with 2 outs. Should have been just a ground ball out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was first and second with 2 outs. Ground ball to Neto. He had to go to his knees to make the play. But an above average shortstop, even an average shortstop, and I think Zach Neto at this point, you can probably call an average shortstop in terms of the field, maybe even above average at times when he's really into it. He misses it. He's obviously frustrated. Like I said, a few guys actually showed some frustration. Drury had his head down the entire game. The entire game. He had a great game yesterday. Not so great tonight. His head was down like this the entire game. Neto was throwing helmets, throwing hats basically the entire game because he made multiple bad plays. Schanuel popped up in a key moment. He also missed a pop-up in a key moment, and that's what I'll get to next. There's just too many things for me to get to in terms of infuriating things for the Angels. But the A's score twice in the 2nd. They score once in the 5th off of a home run. I'm forgetting which home run this was in the bottom of the 5th. Let me quickly find it. It was Schumann. Tough one for Davis Daniel. He hangs a slider up and in. Schumann turns on it, hits a moonshot, skies it to left field down the line. It gets out. Then in the bottom of the 6th, still Davis Daniel, and another mistake by Daniel. Another home run. On 0-1, he hangs another slider. Davis Daniel does not have crazy electric stuff. His key thing is he throws strikes and he locates and he puts balls in tough spots to have big hits. But tonight he hung 2 sliders and both of them were hit for home runs. Tough performance from him. And finally he gets taken out in the bottom of the 6th. After that home run, he gives up a single, he gets a fly out, but then he walks Jill off. That's when they take him out for Matt Moore. But the runs still come in because with 2 outs, runners on first and second, Matt Moore pitching, that's when we have the ground ball that Neto misses. So the A's get 2 in the 6th. They had 1 on the solo shot in the 5th, a home run in the 6th, and that misplay by Neto in the 6th for their 2 runs there. And I told you how they got the 2 runs in the 2nd. So that covers the 5 runs for the A's. How many of them were really earned? Neither of them in the 2nd inning were really earned. One should have been a double play, and instead it's an error. And then a double steal that should just be an out at home is a run scored. So that's neither of those runs should really count. Davis Daniel, obviously he's in the wrong because he's the one who threw the error. But pitching-wise, neither of those were his fault. 5th inning, he hangs a slider, gives up a home run. 6th inning, he hangs a slider, gives up a home run. But then Matt Moore forces a ground ball with 2 outs, and Neto misplays it. So really just the 2 home runs are the only runs that really should have scored. And 2-0 against the A's is a deficit that any competent baseball team should be able to overcome. But guess what? It didn't matter tonight because offensively, the Angels did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Once again, Estes, no good coming in to this one. But his stat line, complete game, 9 innings, just 5 hits. He only had 4 strikeouts. That should tell you everything you need to know about this guy doesn't have electric stuff, folks. He does not have electric stuff. He doesn't throw the ball hard. He doesn't have crazy sinkers and sliders breaking across the whole plate. It's pretty average stuff, kind of like Davis Daniel. And yet, he only gets 4 strikeouts, but he only walks 1 guy. And the key thing here is he made the Angels lineup hit. And boy, they did not. Boy, they did not. So breaking news, Moniak goes 0 for 3. I mean, the sky is blue, folks. The rare 0 for 3 from Rengifo. Cherry on top of this really infuriating loss is Rengifo's hurt. He might be out for some time now. The one guy that right when you're considering giving him that contract extension or flipping him for a boatload of prospects, now he's hurt. Taylor Ward, oh my goodness. 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Once again, he's the last strikeout, the last out of the game on a strikeout, on a swinging slider, after he gets a bunch of hanging sliders. He's a mess. Clearly he's in his head, getting hit in the head by that fastball recently. We know it's not the first time, and clearly mentally as a hitter, he's not there. He's never there as a fielder. And boy, he is 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts from your best hitter on your team. And Rengifo goes 0 for 3 as well. Schanuel 1 for 4. That still brings the average up. But yeah, no one did anything at all. Jury back to a really bad 0 for 3. Matt Thaiss was probably the player of the game for the Angels. My goodness. And even he had an infuriating thing. Because once again, I'll say it one more time. I forget what inning it was. And at this point, I don't care enough to go find it. But the A's pop one up. I say out because it should be an out. Pops one up in foul territory between home plate and first base. And Matt Thaiss doesn't even get out of the squat while the ball is up in the air. He's just like looking up at it, looking down at Schanuel. Oh, he's got it, right? Schanuel's running in, and sure, this is his ball. This should be Schanuel's play. He makes the mistake here. But not only does Schanuel lose it in the lights, overrun it, it goes over his head, whatever, it's just a foul ball. The part that annoys me is Matt Thaiss sitting there watching it. Because at this point, it was clear to all of us. This team didn't even care anymore by the end of the game. You're down 5-0 to the A's. You laid an absolute egg. You've now lost 3 in a row. Oh my goodness. Clearly that shows you do not care at all. So with all that being said, we'll take one more break here on the postcast. When I come back, I'll tell you some of the other infuriating losses this season. And now you've heard my pitch on why I think it's the worst. I'll give you the other competitors, the other, challengers in terms of worst loss of the season. And I'll also say it one more time in case, the message might not be clear enough. Stop checking the standings. Stop talking about this year in terms of making playoff runs. This should confirm it. This loss right here should be all you need to see to know it is sell at the deadline, only keep the guys that are part of the future, and go from there. So that being said, I'll read some comments as well, all the comments after the break, our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Finally, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps, all you do is you play against the numbers and you pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. No secret, I love Prize Picks. I have a slip basically every day. Today was the rare time because I promised it yesterday. As long as it's there, as the more or less, 0.5 total bases for Rengifo, I'm taking it every time. And of course, ironically, tonight's the night he did not get that over because he did not get on base, did not have a base hit. Who knows what would have happened in that 9th inning at bat if he doesn't get hurt. But nonetheless, he does not get a base hit, so I lose that. The other thing I had was Gavin Stone strikeouts because there was a promotion. I don't even know if he hit it, but it doesn't matter now. But speaking of promotions, Prize Picks is hooking you up every week on Tuesdays. They lower select player stat projections to help your lineup hit. And on Fridays, you get your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup. How nice is that? The whole point is you got to pick a winning lineup. But on Friday, if it doesn't hit, you get your money back. So Prize Picks has got you covered. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We are back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast, and the Angels are an embarrassment so far in July. 2 games against the low-life Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas, barely baseball team, 5,000 fans and a bunch of dogs in the stands, A's. The Angels are 0-2 against them, and they get shut out by some guy named Joey Estes, who's no good, who I was watching the A's broadcast, and they were acting like this was Game 7 of the World Series. They were acting like this was the Super Bowl. So were the people in the stands, on their feet, losing their mind. This is the best thing that happened to the A's all year. Leave it to the Angels to give it to them. 5-0, shutout loss, infuriating loss, everybody at fault. Nobody had a good game, no positives. The player of the game is Matt Thaiss, who goes just because he had 2 hits. And even still, he had one of the 5 plays that infuriated me in this game, looking at a pop fly and not doing anything about it. So, With all that being said, I'm going to quickly go through the comments because there are people leaving comments, and you know how much I appreciate all of you guys. So let's get to them real quick. Jeff says, sweep, enough said. Yes, the Angels on sweep watch. Boy, if tonight isn't enough of a sign that this team should not do anything other than sell, a sweep tomorrow would confirm it, especially on 4th of July. Wow. Anaheim Angel says, ugh, who else is looking forward to spring training? Hope Rengifo isn't seriously hurt. Yeah, that's the main thing. As much as this team sucks and as much as every loss sucks, losing Rengifo would suck a lot more. But Alex says, GG for the season. Yes, that's my takeaway. And if any of you had hope about the playoffs, throw it out the window. You can't even beat the A's. Jeff says, spring training can't get here fast enough. Bring back the 2000 team, please. Just a lot of talk about trading guys. Anaheim Angel with a key point here. He says, I guess potential trades could help, but trading the wrong person and it could be worse. And our players with the most potential value just got hurt, that being Rengifo. Roger says, Estes pitched a gem. That was the story of the game. That was the story that statistically he pitched a great game. And of course, anytime you throw a complete game shutout, you did the right things. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But this is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm going to talk about the Angels. And in my opinion, the story of the game is that the Angels didn't put up a fight. Okay, good for him. He had a great performance, but he doesn't have electric stuff. He hasn't been good all season. He hasn't been good in his career, his young career. And leave it to the Angels to be the team that he finally breaks out against. Don't think it's a coincidence. Don't think it's just magically Estes having a good day. It comes down to the Angels just rolling over. Fud Alex says, Pilar should start no matter how older he is instead of Adell. Amen. I've seen enough. I said it yesterday. At the very least, or at the very most, Adell should only be a platoon player with Mickey Moniak. But let's be honest, he just needs to sit down. He had a hit today. It was a ground ball up the middle. Wasn't really a hit. And in his previous at-bat, he's so late. He's so slow. His swings he's got hanging sliders. Ironically, later in that at-bat I'm talking about, he hit a hanging slider, hit it somewhat deep. But I don't care. Because earlier in the at-bat, he had a hanging slider, and he's like a second late on a 79-mile-an-hour pitch. How are you that late? The swing is so slow. I'm tired of Adell. No secret about that. Fud Alex finally says, Ron Walsh had the same reaction as us when they gave up the run when the pitcher threw it to second base and passed through him. Yeah, we know it. The A's broadcast is saying it. The Angels broadcast has said it all year. We said it all year. At the very least, I don't know why I'm talking like an Italian right now, but at the very least, do the basics, do the fundamentals, feel the ground ball and throw it to second base. Have a sack bunt and move a guy over, right? Throw strikes, make contact. These are the bare minimum things, and tonight we couldn't do any of it. One error does not tell the accurate story because there was about 30 misplayed balls in the field. And finally, Jeff, with the most fitting comment of all, he says, Washington needs to rip this team a new one. One last thing I'll say about the A's broadcast. They said at the end, if there's one thing the Angels lead the league in, it's team meetings. Wow. When you're getting roasted by the A's and their broadcast team, let me remind you, 32-56 A's. And the craziest part is, that sounds terrible, right? But don't let the 6-game winning streak fool you. The Angels are 36-49. They're 3.5 games up on the A's that we laugh at so much. The A's have the right to laugh at us. We're just as bad as them. And if they sweep us tomorrow, the sweep we just had against them gets canceled out. They'd be like 2.5 games behind us. We're basically the A's at this point, and they're trying to lose. They literally haven't tried to win in years. The A's finally have a good player, Matt Chapman. Get rid of him. They finally have a good player, Josh Donaldson. Get rid of him. I don't even know what to say. We are a laughingstock, and the 6-game winning streak fooled all of us, including me. And I still think that if Trout comes back, and if Rendon is even remotely competent, the lineup looks decent. Looks more decent. With, Ohapi instead of Matt Thaiss, with Rendon and Trout instead of Moniak and Adell, it's a decent lineup. But at this point, the lineups, the X and O's, it doesn't matter. The character of this team is not there. It's a young team. A lot of frustration tonight. You could see it on a lot of players' faces. But the frustrated guys are the young guys because they want it at least. A Neto wants it, so he's really frustrated when he makes bad plays. A Schanuel wants it, so he's frustrated. Brandon Drury, he's a veteran, but he hasn't been there all year, so he wants it a little bit. He's trying to get back in the flow of things. But a lot of these guys, Taylor Ward, doesn't look like he cares when he strikes out 3 times. Like Matt Moore, he's bummed out because Neto missed the ball. They don't look like they care enough. And real quick, I'll tell you the other candidates for worst loss of the season because I promised it. June 19th, they lost 2-0 to the Brewers. June 1st, they lost 9-0 to the Mariners. Statistically wise, that's the worst loss of the season. They had an 11-1 loss to Arizona, that we talked about back on June 13th. But anytime you get shut out, I think that's that much worse than even a 11-1 loss. I think 5-0 is worse because you didn't even put up a fight, let alone a complete game shutout, let alone it being against a random rookie pitcher who's no good, let alone it being against the A's, let alone it being the second straight loss against the A's, let alone it being after the winning streak. There's so many reasons why, in my opinion, this is the worst loss of the season. So I'm frustrated. I know you all are. Don't let this ruin your Wednesday night. Please don't let it ruin your July 4th tomorrow. The funny thing is we get another Angels and A's game tomorrow, day game on July 4th. Even on the holiday, I will be here on Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel because even on July 4th, even on the holiday, I care about you guys more than our Angels even care about winning. So I'll be back here tomorrow. Hopefully, for the love of God, it's after a win. If it's after a sweep, if the Angels get swept by the A's on 4th of July, wow, that'll probably ruin the holiday. I'm not going to lie. As much as I don't try to let this team ruin my mood because we knew what we were signing up for this year. We know what we sign up for every year with Artie Moreno. We know it. But boy, if we get swept by the A's on 4th of July, there's not any amount of, evening, afternoon drinks and food and fireworks that can make me, look at the day as a positive. So for the love of God, please do not get swept tomorrow. Whether they do or don't, this is the place to be after the game. You know that. If you want the breakdowns, if you want all of it, I'm going to give you the energy. I'm going to give you the emotion. I'm going to give you my raw feelings. I clearly did tonight. But I'm also going to give you the breakdown, the stats, the X's and O's. I'm also going to look forward. This is the place to be after the game. I got you, and I appreciate all of you for being here. So, with all that being said, on easily the most ranty postcast yet, Angels 0, Athletics 5, a complete game shutout for some guy named Joey Estes against our Angels, and now the Angels at risk of being swept by these A's. Hopefully not. Regardless, I will be here tomorrow, and you should be too. So, with all that being said, I'm Gavin Carlson, signing off. Thanks so much for all the support. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're building those numbers up. I appreciate it all. I'm putting more and more effort into every single podcast. The thumbnails are looking better. I'm trying to bring more energy. I think the audio is sounding better, a little bit louder. Obviously, the background is changing every day because every day I'm in a new room. But we're improving the quality. The community is growing as a result, and I really appreciate it. So with all that being said, in what is nearly a 40-minute postcast because I was fed up, thanks so much for all your support. Really appreciate it. Anaheim Angel leads with happy 4th. Yes, happy 4th of July. I'll wish it to you all again tomorrow when you're back here on the postcast. So, I'm Gavin Carlson. Good night, everybody. And I'll see you on a 4th of July postcast tomorrow. Good night.